Look at that. I'm messing up my live stream here. Now I got it fixed here. We're streaming on YouTube and we're streaming also on X, and I had the buttons sort of wrong. So my reaction to this is excellent. Excellent. We are seeing the real deal. Most of what political leaders tell you in news conferences is a load of crap. It is a spit shine version of whatever went on behind closed doors. What we saw in the White House today was straight up reality of the same sort of argument that would go on behind closed doors. Now, as I said, I have a caveat to that. If Donald Trump did this exact same thing with Vladimir Putin, I would feel much better about what happened at the White House today. I am extremely disgusted that our government, our elected government, is being way tougher on the leader of a country that has been attacked by a communist aggressor. And this is part of why I like what happened today in the White House. We saw that this administration, at least now, the evidence to me is pretty clear. We're on the side of Vladimir Putin. Now, bring Vladdy to the Oval Office and give him the same crap, and I'll say, like, new era. I love it. I'm here for it. But I think that there's a 0 chance that Donald Trump would do this. The texts are coming in. Phil says ashamed is the one word. Horrified. Embarrassed. Disgusted. These are all different texts coming in. Boorish. Awesome, says someone else. You're welcome to chime in the comments if you're watching a stream on the WCCO radio channel on YouTube or on my X account. Deborah on Facebook says appalled. My view is this. I would rather see in the light of day exactly what's going on behind closed doors. The fact that Donald Trump is doing this is it's shocking, it's remarkable. Now, I'm on the side of Ukraine. I understand that Donald Trump just wants to be done with this. J.D. Vance has said for a long time that he has no interest in Ukraine. He doesn't really care what's going on there. I think, honestly, most people don't really care. This is sort of how foreign diplomacy goes on. Most of us here in the United States, we don't care. We will play some of this. Well, I want to play a big chunk of what happened in the Oval Office because you guys have lives. I assume you were not watching every moment of it. I'm just telling you, in a time where the government, just like big business, like everybody else, they do not tell us the real deal as to what's going on. We got to see today exactly what Donald Trump believes, the way he would act behind closed doors, and we got to see it. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome being able to see it. I think the policy that we're seeing is, at this point, disgusting. The fact that we would side with the aggressor who invaded another country. I mean, what are we? Are we a defender of democracy, or are we the buddies of an absolute despot? So that's where I'm at on this. We'll revisit this coming up at 4:30. We'll talk about it again at 5:30. So I definitely keep the text coming in, keep the voice messages right on the WCCO page on the Odyssey app. If you go to stream us live through Odyssey, keep those comments in, and we'll play your reactions if you send us a voice message. So we'll do that in the next hour. Right now, we're going to break. We will come back with Republican. I'd actually love to get her perspective. Lisa Demuth is the Speaker of the House, Republican, just named USA Today's Woman of the Year for Minnesota. We'll ask her what she thinks about what happened at the White House today and get more about her background and the reaction to being named Woman of the Year. Lisa Demuth coming up here on Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
Jason DeRUSHA returns shortly with more of Drive Time on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hey, it's Benita. The Good Feet store has made such a huge difference in my life. I went into the Good Feet store and tried their arch support system. I could feel the difference immediately. It helped with some of the foot pain I was having and hip pain. I'm an active person. I like to be on the go. I don't want foot pain stopping me at all. The Good Feet store really does make a difference. I used to have pain in my feet, not anymore. Check out the Good Feet store.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
You can do this. Why? Because no one cares more about your money than you. Right now, many have concerns about their retirement, their investments. Are these mutual funds a poor investment? Did you know that with the average fees of 2%, you could be missing out on upwards of half of your potential retirement dollars? That's pretty high for management, especially when 75% of these funds underperform the market. At Trading Academy, our mission is to empower you to take control of your investments. Text investing to 210-210. Take control of your financial future. Maybe it's to just have a better conversation with your broker. Sign up for a free investing class, local classrooms, one-on-one mentoring, how to protect your investments against inflation. Text investing to 210-210 or go to learnwithota.com.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Crash on 35W northbound side between 694 and Ramsey County Road 96. We have debris in your roadway, 35W southbound. This is actually between Industrial Boulevard and Johnson Street. I'm Jim Hughes on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Washburn McCreevy invites you to a free seminar for pre-planning your funeral and cremation services to help protect your family in the future. Enjoy food, visit with speakers for the Hopkins Chapel Tuesday, March 6th at noon at Pizza Luce in Hopkins. For information, go to washburnmccreevy.com. Seating is limited.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Forecast brought to you by Washburn McCreevy Funeral Homes. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
It stays windy into the night tonight, and our temperatures are going to tumble behind the cold front. 16 the overnight low, still wind coming 10 to 15 miles per hour, making it feel closer to zero early tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny with a high of 31. That'll be nice. Even warmer on Sunday. around 43, another shot at 50 come Monday.
Right now in downtown Minneapolis, it's very, very windy. You can hear it for sure. It's 32 with those wind gusts up to 36 miles an hour on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
I like it. I like the idea.
DeRUSHA on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Well, so much going on in the news today, and the Republican Speaker of the House, Lisa Demuth, is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. We will get to you being named Woman of the Year by USA Today. How about that? That's pretty good.
Thank you. Hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm outstanding. Congratulations. Now, I got to ask you about the big news of the day, right? It is the nation, the world is talking about what we saw in the White House today with President Trump and Vice President Vance accusing Volodymyr Zelenskyy from Ukraine of being disrespectful. What did you make of that whole interaction? I mean, there's been literally nothing like that I've ever seen in my life.
You know, I have not had a chance to fully watch the clips from that or, the replay of it because I've been in back-to-back meetings focusing on here in Minnesota. But I think there always needs to be a level of respect. And so, if it was disrespectful and how things come through, I think everyone is owed respect. There's a lot of pieces to that. As far as the details, though, I really look forward to hearing from our federal delegation, our those in Congress from Minnesota, and just kind of hearing their perspective. That is a great question and kind of a great interpretation from them too.
There are so many different ways you can look at it. On the one hand, like I will say, I enjoy seeing the real deal, right? President Trump, Vice President Vance, they're not putting on some kind of shined up, phony show as to the way that they are interacting behind closed doors with Zelenskyy right there. I like that. On the other hand, I don't know, like you, we grew up in a time where Russia was not our friend. And so seeing the United States sort of cozy up to Vladimir Putin does not make me comfortable.
And I understand that. What I think is really helpful as far as with this administration, the amount of transparency, like you just mentioned with President Trump and Vice President Vance, the transparency that they are allowing, the number of press conferences and the inside look at the work they're doing.
Yeah.
We have seen more in a month than we saw over the last 4 years, and the American people deserve that. Regardless of if you agree or not, at least it is transparent and nobody is hiding from the media and from being covered. So that is excellent for our country.
You were named one of the USA Today Women of the Year. You're the Minnesota representative. How did you find out that you were going to be named a Woman of the Year?
I was contacted by a reporter, Corey, from the St. Cloud Times newspaper. I was contacted just a couple months ago, and he told me that and then asked if I would be willing to be interviewed and some pictures taken. That's how I found out, and it was absolute honor and a surprise, both.
What do when you look at your role, there are a lot of firsts that are part of your path. But I've always been struck by the fact that you don't really make a big deal about that. You don't make a big deal about being, the biracial, being a black Speaker of the House. You don't really talk about these things.
I don't. And it's something that throughout my entire life, and Jason, I am old enough. I was born in the late 60s in central Minnesota. My dad is black. My mom is white. And that was not well received. And I think that, my family was great. I've had a great family support and close friend group support. But I think when you look back to that time in history, although it was legal for my parents to be married in Minnesota, at the time I was born, biracial or interracial marriages were not legal in every state. So when you think how far we've come as a country, and yet what I experienced as a child growing up, there were things I was judged a lot of times by my outward appearance, something that I had no control over, but I was judged on that. And so I think I kind of got used to setting that aside. And if people wanted to get to know me for who I was, that's what I valued. So definitely not hiding who I am, but not leading with that either. And I think that is what has informed all of the decisions and the opportunities that I've had over a lifetime, that I was never quite black enough for the black kids and I was never white enough for the white kids. So I had this place of really not completely fitting in, but yet wanting to do the right thing and work hard. And so to be Speaker of the House now, but also for my fourth term, we've just started, and it's my fourth term of serving District 13A, the area that I actually was born in. That is an absolute honor. That's why I don't focus on it, but I want to work for the people that have elected me and the people that I get to serve in the state of Minnesota.
Do you think of yourself as, in this article, the way they describe you as a trailblazer? They say that the women that are selected are women who made a significant impact. I think there's no debate that you have been that. But do you think of yourself as someone who might be inspirational to other women or young girls or people of color or any of those things?
I don't necessarily think of myself that way, but I understand the trailblazing that has occurred and the focus that gets. And I want to be really found faithful in that. And I hope that I can be the one that would inspire those that would want to say, well, maybe I could step up and, lead in an area or learn what I need to and do a little bit more. I hope that I would be that inspiration. With that opportunity comes a high level of responsibility to keep integrity, to do the right thing, to understand that not everybody's going to agree or like what I always do, but then to take myself not quite so seriously, to realize that although I've been given this responsibility and opportunity, in no way am I perfect. And so I think I need to take it, the responsibility I take, but yet I have to kind of hold it loosely because I'm not going to do things perfectly, and I understand that. And I think we can always be our own worst critics sometimes.
State Representative, Speaker of the House, Lisa Demuth is with us here on CCO. So when you look at kind of, I suppose identity politics is the way to describe it, right? Republicans have certainly made a big case over the last month, but longer than that, sort of rolling back DEI initiatives, talking about maybe, this idea that everybody should be judged on merit, not on identity. At the same time, I think we all have to acknowledge reality. The fact that it took until now for you to be the first woman of color as the Speaker of the House in Minnesota does say there is there's a lack of equal opportunity, perhaps. Do you agree with that?
I think when you look at, the issues of DEI, which I understand the motive behind that potentially, but I think when we start dividing people, we, in effort, it's almost an unforced error in a way that when we start including people or we want that diversity, and that's the first, if we don't look at merit first and then take the other things as they come, we're doing everyone a disservice, because we shouldn't put someone into a role that they may not be able to excel in, because it sets everything back behind. It further sets us all back. But I think first look at the merit and then acknowledge the other things. But in no way should we ever look at the outward appearance or something about someone and let that hold everyone back from an opportunity. But that shouldn't be the first leading piece of decisions or opportunities that are given.
You talk about trying to not divide people. The Republican Party in Minnesota has brought up this piece of audio from Governor Tim Walz Tuesday, speaking to the Minnesota Nurses Association, where the governor said that the company or the country was being stolen by fascists and Nazis. The governor has said, look, I was talking specifically about a parade in Ohio by people who were literal Nazis. What do you make of this? Do you buy the governor's explanation?
I don't know. I had a chance to listen to the clip and then his when he was pushed by the media a little bit on it response. And I have to say that to say anything like that, the words that he used is very divisive, first of all. But I think it was disrespectful and it is actually dangerous speak. And so when you look, even while he was on the campaign trail for higher office, he labeled Republicans, so somebody in a different political party, he labeled Republicans in different ways. And I think as a former teacher and governor of our state, I expect better. Instead of trying to divide people and calling people names. And in that clip from the other day, he said, well, that was just with supporters. Well, if you're speaking that way about other people to those people you think support you, you are further dividing. And that is the last thing that the state of Minnesota needs, or even our country. We need to do better to pull people together. He had run years ago on One Minnesota, but I have not seen that in the way that he speaks about people. Now, I'm going to have an opportunity as Speaker of the House to work alongside the governor as we kind of bring the legislative session to an end and pass a budget. And if that's what he thinks about me or my party, that doesn't set forth a good way of finding a positive working relationship. I would hope he would choose to apologize to those that he has disrespected, but I don't know if he will. And so I'm looking forward to
I just think we could
the
do
work.
with that. We would be better if we could call people out for actions or policies instead of resorting to sticking labels on people and names. I just don't know.
Yeah.
It becomes a massive
it is
distraction, I think.
a distraction and a real disappointment. And that is not the example that we should be setting. As leaders of our state, we cannot set that type of example. So I look forward to the work that I'll get to do with the governor going forward. I hope he doesn't think that of me, but maybe he does. Either way, the people of Minnesota are counting on me to do the job that I have in front of me, which is helping to get a balanced budget on time, set forth in a bill that the governor
Speaker,
can
I
sign.
know you're going to be a part of this rally for girls, but against the idea of having people who are transgender participating in sports. So people who are born male, transitioned, and then being in girl sports. Just tell us why that's an important priority for you.
Sure. That'll be coming up, a rally for girls only in girls sports. That'll be 11 o'clock on the Capitol steps. We're very much looking forward to that. We know the issue of just having girls in girls sports when we're talking K-12, with our youngest kids and our students as we move forward. We know that issue, according to a New York Times poll just last month, shows that is a 79% issue of people in favor of just girls and girls sports. We're doing it for two reasons. One is for fairness in sports. The other is for safety for girls in sports. Title IX, when that finally was passed and girls sports were set there, we need to make sure that we are giving fair opportunities in a safe way to the girls that are choosing to participate in girls sports. That's what we're doing it for.
Lisa Demuth, we're out of time, but we appreciate it. Always enjoy talking to you. Thanks for visiting us.
Hey, thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you
Women
so
of the
much.
Year. Pretty good.
Thank you, Jason. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
All right, we'll break. We'll be back just in a minute here on Drive Time.
Drive Time with DeRUSHA is back after this on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's talk about skincare, and let's talk about the best team in Minnesota to help you out. Tareen Dermatology is there for you, and they are for you in short order. It's Jason for my dermatologist, Dr. Mohiba Tareen, who actually is going to visit with us on the show in about an hour or so. So have you tried to make an appointment with a dermatologist lately? It's tough. It's tough to get in. They tell you it's going to take months. 3, 4, 5, 6 months. If you go to TareenDermatology.com, TAREEN dermatology.com, they will get you in like that. Guaranteed to get you in within 3 weeks. How do they do it? They've got 7 locations. Brand new spot in Farmington. Great spot in Hudson. I go see Dr. Tareen in Roseville. So does my wife. So do my teenagers. Whatever your skin color is, whatever skin condition you're concerned about, don't wait. Don't be in pain. Don't be uncomfortable. Don't hesitate to reach out to my dermatologist, Tareen, TAREEN, dermatology.com.
Advantage Seamless Gutters is now Advantage Home Pros. New look, same pros. Still locally owned and now taking care of all your gutter and roofing needs. Spring cleanup is just around the corner. Don't spend your weekends on a ladder cleaning your gutters when you could be spending time with family and planning that spring break trip. Trust your local gutter pros, Advantage Home Pros. Now your local custom roofing pros with the highest quality workmanship and materials. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
Hi, this is Adam Saba, third generation at Dodge of Burnsville. As a business owner, you need commercial vehicles that have the power you need, room for your gear, and service you can count on. Let me introduce you to Business Link at Dodge of Burnsville, where we take the hassle out of owning and maintaining your vehicle. We offer next available bay, free loaners, qualified technicians, large lifts, and extended service hours to get you back on the job. Nobody sells more commercial Ram trucks than Dodge of Burnsville. That's why we are the King of Ram. Clifton 35W or kingofram.com.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Attention small business owners needing financing. Swish Funding is providing funds for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, even slow cash flow to small businesses all over America with affordable funding as soon as one business day. And we're ready to help with funding from $10,000 to $2 million. If you've been in business for 1 year or more with a monthly income of at least $25,000, you can get the affordable funding you need with no collateral. Go to swishfunding.com today. That's swishfunding.com.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start March 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market, shop in store or online. 35W northbound, a crash between 36 Ramsey County Road C. 35W southbound, there's debris in your roadway near Industrial Boulevard and Johnson Street. Shop organic staples at Whole Foods Market. Get organic asparagus for $3.99 per pound with Prime through March 4th. Saute them in bright lemon butter. An easy serving of greens while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Germs apply. I'm Jim Hughes on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jordana Green here. I pray you and your family are always safe. But if there's ever a time where you need an advocate after an accident, let Mike Bryant of Bradshaw and Bryant help you. He will work with and for you in dealing with the insurance company. Call 800-770-7008 today. Bradshaw and Bryant, seeking justice for the injured.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Bradshaw and Bryant bringing us Chris Schaefer's weather. Tonight, we get down to 16. The winds settle a little bit tomorrow. Pretty nice. 31, a little cooler than before, but no wind. Sunday, 43 and mostly sunny. I am in Nisswa, where it is 27 and windy. In the Twin Cities, you're a little warmer. It is 32 in Maple Grove. We'll get back into that Trump Oval Office kerfuffle next.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester to how we're
90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelenskyy can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelenskyy?
Just send them a text.
Text LINE to 200-300 to get started today with Zelenskyy. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text LINE to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text LINE to 200-300. That's LINE to 200-300. LINE to 200-300.
Where breaking news meets real-time reaction. News Talk 830 WCCO 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. It was an extraordinary White House meeting between President Trump and Ukraine's president, not because of what was agreed to, but because of how fast things went downhill, beginning with Vice President J.D. Vance, who felt Zelenskyy wasn't being appreciative.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
And then President Trump joined in.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank-
president, $350 billion. We gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited me
you
to
didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
in 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
CBS's Charlie Daggett has covered the war in Ukraine and believes Vladimir Putin may be the real winner here.
Ukrainians want this war to end more than anybody else. It may be that the Russians are tired of losing hundreds of thousands of their own fighting forces. They might want to see this brought to an end. But, you know, the kind of language coming out of the White House will have crippled any kind of leverage and any kind of advantage that Kyiv may have thought they had going into today.
In other news, there is another email coming to federal workers asking what they've been doing at work. Here's Stacey Lynn.
CBS News has learned that this second email will come from individual federal agencies and not OPM. We are also told that each agency will decide how long their workforces have to respond and the consequences if they don't comply.
In Rome, the Pope had a medical emergency today, as Chris Livesay reports.
The Vatican reporting that the pontiff suffered from a sudden lung spasm, and that spasm led to vomiting, at which point the pontiff inhaled some stomach acid, which required doctors to intervene.
The Vatican says the treatment went well, but the Pope is still hospitalized and in critical condition. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Partly cloudy, windy, 35 degrees now at 4:03. I'm Laura Oakes. The Republican leader of the Minnesota House with some thoughts on today's blow-up at the White House involving President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Speaker Lisa Demuth telling Jason last hour the bold transparency that was on display can't be denied.
Regardless of if you agree or not, at least it is transparent and nobody is hiding from the media and from being covered. So that is excellent for our country.
Demuth was also named Woman of the Year for Minnesota by USA Today today. 40 years in prison for a Maplewood man who admitted to killing and dismembering 2 women in 2023. Joseph Jorgensen hid the remains of 34-year-old Mani Starin and 33-year-old Fanta Zayavong in 2 storage facilities in the Twin Cities. The victims' families telling emotional stories of their losses in court today. Second-degree murder charges are now filed in St. Paul's first homicide of the year. 33-year-old Kidu Busseri called police Tuesday afternoon to report the killing killing and was found by police covered in blood. Police discovered a woman believed to be his wife suffering from a stab wound. She died at the hospital. The Minneapolis Police Department reporting progress in clearing homeless encampments from the city. Chief Brian O'Hara issued a special order in January directing officers to proactively intervene when they see the beginning stages of an encampment, which the MPD says has prevented at least 6 of them from forming. Long term, O'Hara says the biggest underlying issue that needs to be addressed is illegal drug use. He says just this week, officers encountered an alarming situation while working to recover a stolen vehicle.
Inside of it was a 7-month-old infant, unrestrained, that was exposed to fentanyl. And thank God that infant was okay. I mean, we had 2 other infants in January that nearly died from being exposed to fentanyl.
O'Hara says last year, encampment-related violence reached crisis levels with 15 fatal shootings and 387 overdose calls. Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards will sit out tonight's game at Utah after receiving his 16th technical foul in last night's game against the Lakers. WCCO's Henry Lank says Ant needs to get those emotions in check.
You've already got a tag, so don't get another one. And he did. So it just, to me, like, he has to be better.
NBA officials say Edwards directed profanity towards a game official. And hours after dropping her latest single, Lizzo announced today she'll debut her new album at 3 small venues across the country, including First Avenue in Minneapolis.
By the end of the world, by the end of the night, baby, come over here. I need love in real life.
She is expected to play small venues in Los Angeles and New York before coming to the famed Minneapolis landmark on the night of March 18th. The singer-songwriter has credited the Twin Cities music scene with being instrumental in her career. The new album, a comeback of sorts for Lizzo, who went quiet over the last year or two following allegations from some former dancers of harassment. She has denied any wrongdoing. Steve Simpson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
And tickets go on sale Thursday on First Avenue's website. WCCO News Time is 4:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
94 westbound has you delayed by 9 minutes between 55 and 35. 35 northbound, debris in the roadway. That's between Burnsville Parkway and 13. I'm Jim Hughes on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I use it. It works for me. And I am thrilled to be able to share the information with you. Jordana Green here. And yes, I'm talking about CBD.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Mini Leaf, the home of Minnesota's best legal products. Find them at minileaf.com. And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Our bad hair day will be coming to an end soon as the wind drops. Unfortunately, the temperature is going to drop as well. We'll fall back to 16 overnight tonight, feeling closer to 0 early tomorrow morning with the wind. Mostly sunny for your Saturday with a high of 31. Sunday, sunshine again, even warmer, up around 43.
Partly cloudy right now, still windy, 35 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Don't spend your time with stations that talk at you. Experience a place that talks with you. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRUSHA. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise.
I'm super excited to introduce to you
Jason DeRUSHA.
I don't know, man. The Minnesota Twins choked in the top of the 9th inning. It's the scrubs. It's fine. Federal workers are getting a new emails. Their new weekly, what'd you do this week email. The wind is blowing like a... You can complete that statement however you want. I feel like that's just a recipe for trouble. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRUSHA. I am on the road today in the Brainerd Lakes area. We're coming to you from Grandview Lodge in Nisswa, where I am hosting a wine. You know what? Why be so stressed about all the news going on? I'm hosting a wine weekend, Dan Cook. I mean, everything's coming up to Russia. I'm fine. Can't be stressed about this stuff all the time, right? We are going to give you a chance to react to what happened in the Oval Office. The way it's being described is a break in alliance, signals break in alliance for the New York Times. I would say signals. Like, the Trump administration has made it very clear they do not want to spend any more money on Ukraine. And I think a lot of Republicans agree with that. That said, watching the vice president and the president sort of tag team the president of a country that was invaded by Russia is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The transparency of it, I love. I love the fact that we can see and hear exactly what would have been going on behind closed doors. In fact, this deal, which I think we were sort of extorting Ukraine, you want weapons? We need mineral. We need access to your minerals. Otherwise, forget it. Get out of here. This is not how we traditionally have combated aggressor nations, communist nations that are invading countries that are seeking to go down a path of democracy. I'm not saying Ukraine is the greatest country. It's not the greatest democracy. They got their problems. But come on. Are you going to pick Putin or Zelenskyy? A lot of people today twisting themselves in knots trying to talk about why Putin is. I mean, just listen to yourself. We are going to let you listen. Why don't we do that now? And I want your feedback. In our first hour, we asked you to react using one word, but I'll take any kind of reaction you want to what we're about to hear. I'm going to stop this exchange along the way and share some thoughts. So let's start with this news conference. This sort of very traditional. You have a foreign leader in the White House. You sit down in the Oval Office. All the cameras are there. You're going to do a little, hey, you know, good to see you. Nice. Well, that wasn't what happened. Voices raised. I would say Trump and Vance berated Zelenskyy, said he wasn't grateful enough, which is amazing. So for those of you who want to defend this exchange, I ask you this. Did Zelenskyy really disrespect the United States? And what kind of gratefulness would be acceptable? Let's start. Go ahead, Dan. Start the exchange.
I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? That you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched.
Okay, hang on one second. We'll stop it right there. So that's you're not being grateful enough. You're litigating this in front of the cameras. That litigation happened because President Trump said, I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States. And Zelenskyy was saying, look, the diplomacy that Donald Trump is talking about is diplomacy with an evil, lying, communist despot, Vladimir Putin. And that got things going. And then when J.D. Vance said you should be more grateful, that meant all bets were off.
The stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning. Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean. And don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
You
God
don't-
bless.
you don't know that.
God bless.
You don't know
God
that.
bless. You
Don't-
will not
you
have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no
All right, so let's pause it
position
right there.
to
Very, very interesting right there. So what Zelenskyy is saying is you want to make a deal with Putin, just because you're protected, you don't share a border with Russia, doesn't mean that Putin's not going to turn on you in the future. Now, I would say, I don't know that was helpful, right? The reality is, Zelenskyy is in no position. He is hosed. He needs American money. He needs American weapons. And so, all right. Now, if you look at Trump and Vance, got to beat a guy when he's down. Yeah, we all know this. You're sort of a lot of texters are saying that the American leadership was acting like a couple of bullies beating up on somebody who's in trouble. Now, what Donald Trump said there that I found fascinating is he said, we are trying to solve a problem. So I think that is very useful in trying to understand exactly what the ethos is of Donald Trump here. He just wants to be done. He's not trying to solve the problem of Russia invading Ukraine. He's trying to solve the problem of, I don't want to deal with this anymore. All right, let's hear a little bit more, Dan.
dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not in a
Mr.
good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with
What are you
World
thinking
War III. And
We-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire
Stop
meeting.
there. That's where you lose me. All right. JD Vance, have you said thank you once? You need to bow down and give a little smooch to the Trumpster. Again, I will say that the transparency of this, the fact that we could see this, I feel like anyone who was delusional about what sort of conversations were going on behind closed doors, you get to see the reality right now. You get to see exactly what this president and vice president thinks. This America, not America, but a majority of the voters voted for Donald Trump. I think, honestly, a majority of Americans don't really like foreign intervention in foreign aid. I think mostly people don't understand it. And so it feels like, well, we could use this money here. I do believe in an America that stands up for democracy. I do believe in America that stands up to a foreign country, a foreign aggressor that invades someone else's country. I believe in standing up for that. I don't think that is a controversial position. The polls indicate most Americans support Ukraine. But when push comes to shove, most Americans also don't want to see any money spent on foreign aid when we have problems here. Was Zelenskyy disrespectful to the United States? Dan, I didn't see it. I did not see, I think engaging in an argument with Donald Trump is sort of a fool's errand. You're not going to win. But I don't know what they're talking about with the disrespect.
Well, actually, you do know what they're talking about with the disrespect, and that's that he didn't bow and kiss the ring. And if you look at, Emmanuel Macron coming to the Oval Office and how he treated the president, and how Keir Starmer from the UK came to the Oval Office with, the invitation in hand from King Charles, and I mean, you could argue it either way, right? For Zelenskyy to come in there and be as forceful as he was takes a lot of guts, because the U.S. could write him off immediately, and Ukraine
and they are
big trouble.
He's done.
Well, he's done
on
on this
right?
trip. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens going forward. You could also argue that it was a pretty stupid move on his part, because if he does lose this funding and the weapons that the United States could give him, his country is toast. So disrespectful. You could argue it, but clearly what they were anticipating is that he was going to come in. Thank you, Mr. President. Here's all our minerals. And that wasn't how it went. So,
which is utterly predictable, right? Like, that is where you are sort of curious as to what Zelenskyy was thinking. And if you're Ukraine, now I think Zelenskyy in many ways has been an incredible, heroic figure. But if you're Ukraine and you want to continue battling, which I don't know if that's the smart move, right? But you may need to replace your president, because I don't know how Zelenskyy and the United States can move past this. We're going to break. Lots of great text, plenty of phone calls. Bring it in. If you want to send us a voice message on the Odyssey app, that works too. Your time to chime in at 651-461-9226. We'll lighten it up in a little bit. We will play Card DeSharks with your chance to win $50 to one of the Jester Concepts restaurants. We got to have some fun. It's Friday. We'll do that coming up in about 10 minutes here on Drive Time.
We need a quick pit stop. Then Jason DeRUSHA continues on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Today is your last day. It's the last day to get the absolute best price of the year at Livia. It's Jason here for my friends at Livia. I was over at their Coon Rapids Weight Control Center earlier this week. I have lost 45 pounds with the help of Livia. I hit my goal 2 years and 2 months ago. And I was in this week, and I'm literally at the exact same weight I was at my lowest. 45 pounds gone for good. And that's the Livia difference. If you join today, and today only, I'm telling you, this thing, it's donezo by tomorrow. You're getting 50% off. 50% off Livia's award-winning nutrition program. They got the most competitive pricing on GLP-1 medications, if you're into that. And they do it in a customized way. Personalized support, personalized coaching. That was the difference. I'm a food critic. I'm busy. I'm on the road. I'm hosting a wine dinner. How do I keep the weight off? Livia can help you do the same. Livia.com, Livea.com, or call 855-GO-LIVIA and do it today.
You sit on your deck and you're sick of looking at your crappy siding. Type JTR on your computer for roofing, siding, gutters, windows, and more. JTR Roofing has you covered from the roof on down, serving the Twin Cities Metro. For a free estimate, visit jtrroofinginc.com.
So today we have Albert from UCare to help decomplicate Medicare plans for people who are just starting to learn about it. Tell me a little bit about Original Medicare and Medicare supplement plans.
Original Medicare is designed to cover about 80% of your overall medical expenditures. And then you have your Medicare supplement plans. They're designed to help cover the other 20% that Medicare leaves off. Most other costs are covered under your supplement plan. They do offer a nationwide coverage as well. They will be accepted anywhere that Original Medicare is accepted. Medicare supplement plans will provide a level of predictability instead of thinking about co-pays and constant costs. You pay your monthly premium one time a month and your medical costs are mostly covered.
So why should someone go with UCare?
So UCare does have competitive rates. Some of the lowest rates statewide that you can find, no cost fitness options and hearing aid discounts, and a large dedicated broker network that's willing to take all the time needed to help you find the right plan to secure your long-term health goals.
For more, contact a local broker and visit ucare.org.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit. Credit for deciding while stuck in traffic to get a bachelor's degree. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. Students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's. And graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. Flexible online and hybrid classes start March 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Attention small business owners needing financing. Swish Funding is providing funds for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, even slow cash flow to small businesses all over America with affordable funding as soon as one business day. And we're ready to help with funding from $10,000 to $2 million. If you've been in business for 1 year or more with a monthly income of at least $25,000, you can get the affordable funding you need with no collateral. Go to swishfunding.com today. That's swishfunding.com.
Drive Time with DeRUSHA. Now video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
That's right. On YouTube, you can see the glamorous conference room I'm hanging out in right now, doing our show out at Grandview Lodge right now. Drive time with DeRUSHA in effect. So much reaction coming in on what we saw in the Oval Office today. Let's go to one of our voice callers that use the Odyssey app. You can always send us a message on the Odyssey app reacting to what we saw. Go ahead.
Regarding the Oval Office meeting today, I am horrified and extremely embarrassed to be an American. Trump and Vance and all of the others in the room berating Zelenskyy was disgusting. I hope every American that watched that conference was in shock and disgusted. For those who are not disgusted by that, go check your moral compass.
All right, very good. There's one reaction from the Odyssey app. Let's go to Todd in Ramsey on the CCO Talk and Text line. Todd, you're on CCO. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking the call. I've got to disagree with you. You keep using the word transparency. We're glad to have transparency. That was a snuff video. That was cutting an ally's throat on television.
Do you think it was intentional, like a setup, Todd?
I don't know that it was. I just know what I saw, and what I saw was totally inappropriate. The only person that comes out ahead on that is Vladimir Putin, because he knows now there's a complete rift between the United States and the only ally we have holding the line with Russia right now. And
he knew this already, though, don't you think? Like, all of this is stuff that we've all heard from Trump before. It should be zero surprise. But now doing it right in front of Zelenskyy, in front of all of America and all of the world, I do think there's advantage, frankly, for people to look and say, like, okay, like this is where we are as America, and then you can decide how you feel about it. I think I've made it pretty clear how I feel about it. Standing with Russia and Vladimir Putin, to me, is an absolute rejection and betrayal of what I think America should stand for.
Well, I understand your position from listening to you. I do agree with what you just said. I think that what we saw wasn't diplomacy. I understand what you're saying when saying let's get it all out in the open.
That's a great point,
not
Todd.
what diplomacy is.
It wasn't. No, you're right. You're right about that. I don't. What's interesting is, do you think if Zelenskyy took a more sort of, loyal pose, or a more, kiss Trump's butt a little more, do you think it would have just proceeded? They would have signed the deal and that would have been that?
I don't know what kind of a man would do that to a man who knows that, yes, America's been aiding with weapons. And by the way, all those dollars, this 350 billion number, which is a lie from Trump, but
that's
any
a lie, yes.
weapon that went to Ukraine, any weapon that went to Ukraine came from the United States, was manufactured here, created jobs in the United States. So there is that. But to the side, why would Zelenskyy act in a timid manner when it's Ukrainians that are dying? Tens of thousands.
Well,
of
because you need the
and
American
military.
money. You need the American weapons, right? Like sometimes we all like sort of bend the knee if you're desperate.
Yes, it could possibly have helped for him to do that. But when J.D. Vance says, "Why don't you say thank you?" I think tens of thousands of lives of Ukrainians is thanks enough.
Yeah, agreed. Very good call. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. 651-461-9226 is our number. Dan, we have another voice message using the microphone button right on the Odyssey app. Let's hear that.
Trump labels people all the time that don't agree with him.
That's true. He hears it and just goes ahead and gives you a name. I know, it's very childish, for sure. So many texts coming in. Way to go, Trump and Vance. I've seen a lot of that on social media. A lot of people saying this is what we want.
Well, and
We
that
wanted
shouldn't be a
America
surprise.
first.
Yeah, the people
standing up for America.
The people that are, fans of his style are going to love this, right? Because he's being tough, and that's what they want. They want the tough guy. They want the strong man, and this fits right into that image. This is where, you mentioned that the transparency, that being able to see it where there's no filter. Look, he's more accessible. Major said this yesterday with Chad. He's more accessible than any president probably in our history, certainly more than the last president. There's positive to that because this is what he is. This is who he is. You get to see it. There's not a whole lot to be hidden there. And I would contend, I'm not sure that's a great thing when we see stuff like this, right? Because we've already got a paralyzed Congress that happened because people found it more valuable to be fighting than to be in the back room making deals and actually governing. And my fear is that's what we were headed towards with the executive, right? There's no question. Both of these men knew there were cameras on them, knew that, thousands, if not millions of people would be watching this thing. Would there have been a better chance at getting a deal done that moves towards ending this war if they weren't performing for cameras? And I should say not only both those men, but obviously the vice president as well. Does the vice president pipe up like that if he doesn't know that there's?
You think it was
watching?
performative? I think this is just who these guys.
Element to it for sure.
Yeah.
So
I just think this is who these guys are, and I think this would have blown up. I think Zelenskyy also is a stubborn, proud man, and understandably, and I suspect this is exactly what would have happened behind closed doors. I would rather see it. Now, the caveat to this is, man, I would love to see J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and put Vladimir Putin in that seat, and let's see how that goes. Keep the texts and comments coming. We'll revisit this next hour. But we gotta have some fun. We're gonna play America's fastest growing afternoon related card related game, Card DeSharks, coming up. Call Dan will clear the lines, and you can call in now if you want to play for $50. 651-461-9226. We'll play Card DeSharks in just a minute here on Drive Time.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRUSHA coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
What are you having for dinner this weekend? Do you have plans? Do you have family getting together maybe? May I suggest Minnesota pork? It's Jason here for the Minnesota Pork Board. 3,000 family farmers every corner of the state of Minnesota. And I have had the chance to get to know so many of our pig farmers. And it is awesome, the work they're doing. They are teaming up with the greatest researchers, the greatest scientists, the Minnesota Pork Board, all coming together to figure out new ways to take care of their animals, to take care of the soil, and to take care of the water. So many of our family farmers are also growing crops, and they're maybe using that pig manure to go, pigs. They do, there's a reason they call certain situations here like a pigsty. So they use that pig manure, and they'll go use it to fertilize their field. Sustainability is a key focus. Having safe and reliable meat, lean, high in protein, that's another key focus. Get that pork shoulder. Look, maybe you need a recipe for the slow cooker or the air fryer. Go to mnpork.com, click on Pork 101, and you'll see all the recipes. You can sort it by the way you cook it. But get to the grocery store or the butcher shop, and let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight. Oh, yeah.
It's like being trapped in a cage. And I know that sounds dramatic, but your breathing triangle problem has got you trapped. And once you're freed, you're going to be able to live the life that you're missing out on. Now, this can simply mean experiencing the true pleasure of breathing freely. It will mean better sleep and more energy. And the worry of this problem anymore affecting your life is going to be gone. Because in almost every case, when Advent has solved a breathing triangle problem, it's a one and done. Because we're not in the business of delivering Band-Aids. We want to fix your nasal breathing problem for good. We don't want you to be a lifelong patient. We want you to be our next success story.
Isn't it time you break free from that cage? Take the next step. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
And for westbound, a crash in your way. You're tapping the brakes. About an 8-minute delay right now between 55 and 35. That same crash had you delayed 6 minutes between 49th Avenue and 252. I'm Jim Hughes on News Talk 830 WCCO.
In its centennial year, the DAV of Minnesota remains dedicated to helping thousands of veterans access the benefits they've earned. And you can make a difference. Volunteer to transport veterans, advocate for improved programs, or donate today at davmn.org.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
DAV of Minnesota brings us our forecast from Chris Schaefer.
It stays windy into the night tonight, and our temperatures are going to tumble behind the cold front. 16 the overnight low, still wind coming 10 to 15 miles per hour, making it feel closer to 0 early tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny with a high of 31. That'll be nice. Even warmer on Sunday, around 43, another shot at 50 come Monday.
Right now on CCO, I don't know, what's the temperature, Dan? It's 27 up here in Nisswa, down in the Twin Cities.
33 here in Minneapolis.
Beautiful. Here on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
Sometimes I feel like a completely different species than everybody who thinks that that might be fun.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Oh, baby. This is a great time to be fired up the stream because you can watch live Card DeSharks. How about this? And we do have a poem, Dan. I got a lot going on. I got cameras. I'm on the road. I'm trying to find the poem. You got me shuffling the cards. What are we doing here?
Would you like me to do the poem?
I found it.
Okay.
I got it. All right, turn that music up. You ready? Jason and Dan are now back from the coast of sunshine and warmth. Jason surely did boast. Now you can boast too if you win today. Ring up CCO and say, I will play on Card DeSharks. There we go. Smooth production values as always on Card DeSharks. Dan, I'm going to need a little help from you telling us who our contestants are today.
Jason, we've got Linda in Shakopee and Greg in Marshall.
Linda in Shakopee and Greg in Marshall. Linda, welcome to CCO.
Happy to be here.
And Greg, thank you for playing today. Welcome to the fastest growing afternoon game show.
Yep, thank you. Glad to be there.
Very, very good. I've got, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the cards dealt out. I brought 2 decks of cards with me to Grandview Lodge in Nisswa, but they're the same color. So it's all right. We're going to figure it out. I believe in everybody. Dan, do you believe in everybody here?
I've got nothing but confidence.
All right, very good. Let's watch this. I'm going to plop this up. This is very exciting stuff. You know, a lot of shows, a lot of podcasts have like producers, video producers, streaming editors, all this other stuff. Not us, Dan Cook.
No, just us.
I got 2 laptop computers. You're back on like a webcam from 1988.
That recent, huh?
It's all working out fine. All right, we're going to play Card DeSharks.
What are they playing for, Jason?
Well, thanks for asking. We are playing for a $50 gift card at Jester Concepts. Jester Concepts has some of my favorite restaurants in the Twin Cities. Maybe you've heard of the Parlor Burger. Parlor has locations in St. Paul, Excelsior, and also in Minneapolis, North Loop. But they've also got PS Steak, wonderful steakhouse right by the Walker Arts Center, and Startling in Edina, great new entrance to the scene. So good stuff. We thank Jester Concepts. Linda and Greg, here's how we play. I'm going to ask a question that there's an answer of 0 to 100. One of you will answer the question. The other will say higher or lower. So, Linda, you get the first question. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go, Linda. We asked 100 8th graders, have you ever pretended to be sick just to get out of PE class? How many said yes? I have pretended to be sick to get out of gym class. What do you think?
I'm going to go with 67.
All right. Linda says 67. Greg, do you think it's higher or lower?
I'm going to go lower.
Greg goes lower. Greg, have you ever, claimed to be sick to get out of class?
No.
No, I can tell. I can hear it in your voice. Jim was your favorite
class.
To the surprise of no one, in high school, we had a high school radio station, and I was able to get out of gym class to work at the radio station. Now, that was a pretty good scam I had. I got exempt from PE, but then I look at my physique years, in my adult years, I probably should have spent more time in gym class and less time in radio. You know what I mean? That's exactly it. All right. Linda said 67. Greg said lower. The actual number of 8th graders who have pretended to be sick to get out of gym class is just 54. It is a little bit lower. Pretty good guess there, Linda. But Greg, that's good news for you. You get control of the board. Do you want the upper row or the lower row of cards?
I'll take the upper.
All right, the upper for Greg, and your opening card is a 9. Greg, you've got a 9. Because you got the question right, you can change the card if you'd like. Otherwise, go higher or lower. What do you want to do?
Why don't you change it?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That 9 becomes a 10, a little bit better. What do you want to do? Higher or lower than a 10, Greg?
Lower.
Lower than a 10, it is. Oh, it's a jack. It is higher. And that means, Linda, you get a free shot at the cards. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your opening card is a 5. You start with a 5. Very nice. Higher or lower than a 5?
I'm going to go higher than a 5.
Higher than a 5. It is an ace. It is higher than a 5. Ace is high, so you can keep going or you can freeze at any point. What do you want to do, Linda?
Let's keep going and go higher.
Well, ace is high, so.
You said it was an ace or an 8?
Yeah, ace, A-C-E. Ace, you've got the highest card available, so I'm not going to tell you what to do.
We'll go lower. I misunderstood.
There we go. All right, okay. I don't want to talk you. I don't want to talk you into it. But sometimes it's confused.
Ace.
Yeah, sorry about that. Ace, lower than an ace. It is. It's a 3. And oh my goodness, Linda, you are cooking here. Poor Greg. You get one miscue, Greg, and Linda's running the table. You're on a 3. You can freeze to preserve your progress, but boy, you're in good shape. What do you want to do? Higher, lower, or freeze?
Let's go higher.
All right, higher than a 3. It is a king. Oh my goodness. And Linda in shock. I don't know that this has ever happened. Dan, I don't want to count this thing before it's over.
I mean, we've had runs before, but not usually on the opening gambit. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Linda, if this is lower than a king, I'm gonna have to come up with another segment. So the card DeSharks is supposed to kill 2 segments for us on a Friday.
If this
Can
does
I have a
work out for you,
rematch?
you can-
2 out of 3?
you can
2 out of 3, sure.
Now I can't talk Linda into freezing because what if she then loses the whole thing, and then who feels guilty?
That would really be a sad deal. So
That's right. So I'm not doing it. So if
let's just go lower, and hopefully it is a winner. And then you can talk about the wildflower chocolates up there in Nishwa.
there,
If you
There you go.
haven't been there yet, you need to stop there tomorrow morning.
all right, I like it. I like it. Linda says lower than a king. Here we go. Lower than a king. It is. It's a jack, and we got a winner. You did it.
We got a winner. Woo!
Oh my God, Greg! Like, what happened here?
Can we go 2 out of 3? You got time.
At least give him a chance to run the cards, and we'll give him a tie or something.
All right. All right, let's have some fun, Greg. You're on a 10. The 10 was wrong. So we're replacing that card. You're on a 9. What do you want to do? Higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher than a 9? It's a 3.
Oh.
Rough. The
But
3.
can we do a huge shout out to the Marshall girls basketball who's playing tonight down in St. Peter?
There you go.
How about that? You absolutely can. Greg, do you want to give a plug for anything? Can I give you a plug for getting just absolutely bulldozed in this deal?
No, I'll call back. I'll get even.
All right, you'll get even. Greg, we appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. Linda, holy moly, just great work. The cards.
Holy moly is right.
Sometimes the cards aren't on our players' sides, and this time it worked out for you. So congratulations.
Thank you so very much.
All right, we're gonna make sure you stay on the line. Dan will get all of your information, and we'll get that stuff coming your way. It is 4:46. I am live at Grandview Lodge in Nisswa, and since I have an extra minute, I would just like to invite you to join me on a trip to Greece. You know, this is the time of year a lot of people start thinking about, all right, what is our post-summer trip going to be? And if you've dreamed of going to Greece, it would be so fun to have you with us. Alyssa and I are taking a bunch of CCO listeners, and we did this in Portugal. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. We ended up going to dinner with some of the people that we went on this trip with. That is how great these Colette vacations are. October 12th is when we go. It's like 10 or 11 days. We go to Athens. We go to Mykonos. We go to Santorini. And I've never been to Mykonos. I've been to Athens and Santorini, and I can't wait to go back. It's going to be that cool. So go to WCCOradio.com/Greece. It's that easy. All the info is there. You can sign up. If you have questions, you can email me, jason@odyssey.com. Let's break. We'll come back with more Drive Time with DeRUSHA in just a minute here on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRUSHA is hitting the off-ramp for a quick stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
If you are watching us on the stream right now, the sweater that I am wearing, it's lovely, isn't it? It's from J.H. & Sons at the Galleria. It's Jason for my friends at the premier men's clothier of the Twin Cities. J.H. & Sons has been doing it for 50 plus years in Minnesota. They started in St. Cloud, the Halberstads, and then they moved to Sioux Falls. They've got beautiful Halberstads and J.H. & Sons in Sioux Falls, and just last year they came to the Twin Cities. And what a gift, because the service is unbelievable. The clothing is awesome. So you got stuff like I'm wearing a pair of pants that I got there and a sweater. And so they've got clothes to make you look great on date night or going out to dinner or just casual workwear. But then they've got the next level. If you're looking for that special jacket, or maybe you've got a kid getting ready for prom, bring them into J.H. & Sons at the Galleria. You will experience amazing service. and really a lot of premium menswear that you won't find anywhere else. JH and Sons is at the Galleria in Edina. You can visit their website and sign up for their email list. Lots of sales and info that you get there at jhandsons.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
We've all got a thing. Yes, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
Celebrating 30 years of Minnesota-made furniture. Delivered direct to you. That's furniture from By the Yard. Explore the largest ever release of new products. Fresh wood grain colors and timeless favorites in the latest collection of maintenance-free outdoor furniture, built to last, backed by a 35-year warranty. Request your catalog today. Start planning your perfect outdoor space before spring arrives. Visit BuyTheYard.net or stop by the showrooms in Woodbury, Maple Grove, or Jordan to get yours. By the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
This traffic report brought to you by Treasure Island Resort and Casino. 94 westbound, you're delayed by 5 minutes on the westbound side between 49th Avenue and 252 Brooklyn Center. Tickets are available at TICasino.com or make a night of it with a hotel stay. Treasure Island offers a perfect escape with a variety of hotel rooms, package options, a luxurious spa, an action-packed gaming floor, and a variety of dining options. For tickets, more information, to book a hotel stay, visit TICasino.com. I'm Jim Hughes on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Looking for senior living options? Jordana here. I invite you to check out award-winning New Perspective Senior Living with 10 communities in the Twin Cities Metro. They offer you a friendlier approach to senior living. Call 888-229-2298. 888-229-2298.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
All right, let's get you up to date on the forecast. My goodness, it has been so windy. That wind advisory expires at 6 p.m. tonight. So I think everybody is ready for that, right? Weather is brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 31. Sunday, a high of 43. Looks like a shot at 50 on Monday, and maybe we're getting that rain, snow, slushy mix on Tuesday. Right now, it's 32 degrees on CCO.
Jason DeRUSHA.
Someone says, this guy has no idea how cringe he is. And I would just like to say, I'm well aware. I am extremely cringe. I get it. I don't care.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
So, Dan, last night, Alyssa and I drove up to the Brainerd Lakes area. After the show, I went home, got in the car, and let me tell you, it's real dark when you're driving up 169, headed up the Brainerd Lakes area. So we're driving up here overnight, and we left Maple Grove around 7 o'clock, and you're thinking, like, all right, we got to eat. Where are we going to, like, by the time we get up to Grandview Lodge, everything's going to be closed, right? It's going to be, 8:30, 9
Please
o'clock.
tell me you stopped at a Culver's.
Well, I will tell you, you'd be pleased with my lunch choice today, which
Okay.
was Wendy's. I did get my my guilty pleasure favorite. Now, Culver's is probably the top fast food.
Sure.
And I don't know if you consider my burger, is that fast food or not? It's sort of like a
Close.
local
It's in the neighborhood.
chain.
Yeah.
It's in the neighborhood. The Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich it's my go-to. It's my favorite. And I order it without mayonnaise because then you're guaranteed it's fresh. You know what I mean? That's like a
Clever.
little fast food. Do you do that with your, like, order no ketchup or whatever? Take one thing off the usual so you guarantee it's fresh?
No. I mean, I do order specialty stuff certain times, but it's stuff that I legitimately don't want to eat.
That you would want
Not
anyway, yeah.
necessarily for the purpose of getting it fresh, but I do realize that that's part of what then comes with it.
It is the bonus, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So we went to the Lonesome Pine, which is on the way. I knew I could get there by 8:30. The owner, Josh Goolsby, was on CCO Radio, one of our early DeRUSHA Eats segments.
Okay.
And you remember him. He was the hardcore Vikings fan. He was probably one of the most charismatic people we've ever had on.
Sure.
So I text him and I'm like, hey, are you guys still open at 8:30? Is it a good idea to show up at 8:30? And he's like, oh, it's a good idea. And there's just something different about this, like a up north restaurant bar, a small town bar restaurant. We sat at the bar. And of course,
especially when you know the guy.
When you know the guy, it's a totally different game.
Totally bit. Yeah.
So in the other room are two guys from the Twin Cities who I know. One is another restaurant owner. You're like, of course.
Of course.
This is like the smallest town in the world that happens. And so we got escargot. Like, how funny is it to snails? And I know you would for sure be down with snails.
1,000%. Why else would you go to a small town bar if you're not going to get snails?
It was delicious. We had a great steak, but better than that, we had a great time. Like, we were talking to everybody at the bar. He got out a kind of bourbon that I'm not sure if I can say the name of this on the radio. It's chicken. Well, what does a chicken say? Or what does a rooster say, Dan?
Oh, no, that's your job. You get to do the sound effects, not me.
Well, you'd say cock-a-doodle-doo.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you...
Yeah.
I think
people are following, Jason. You're good.
When the bartender gets out chicken, you take a taste, right? Why not? It's actually pretty delicious. I would never buy this. I'm not going to Surdyk's.
Right.
And buy. Josh Goolsby might try to. I think he served that up you know why he served.
No question, because it was you. But any kind of liquor that they would have put in front of you and said, here, you got to try this. Is there any of that you're turning down at that point?
No.
Yeah, that's it.
No. I mean, at a certain point, you say enough because you want to get on with your night. DeRUSH HOUR news headlines, the lead coming up next.
You're at home. MerrittChev.com. You need a vehicle. MerrittChev.com. Wherever you are. MerrittChev.com. Shop in the comfort of your home on MerrittChev.com, where all their prices are clearly marked for their all new and used vehicles. It's like a virtual test drive. Merritt Chevrolet is the full service real deal with sales, service, body shop, and parts. Just off Century and I-94, or you guessed it, MerrittChev.com. Merritt Chevrolet, the dealership right in your backyard. Together, let's drive. See dealer for details.
Did you know that this this year marks 100 years of Minnesotans supporting our veterans through the DAV of Minnesota. Showing your support is as easy as donating your gently used clothing and household items. Visit donatedavmn.org to schedule a curbside pickup or find the nearest donation drop-off location. Whether it's a community donation center at Savers or unique thrift stores or the neon green bin in your city, you're just a few miles from helping those who've served our country. So join DAV of Minnesota's efforts to give back to those who gave so much.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Real news, real talk in real time. News Talk 830 WCCO 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. The White House meeting with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy quickly unraveled. The tensions became apparent early on.
I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred.
And then a shouting match.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire.
Max Bergman with the Center for Strategic and International Studies.
It was pretty clear that the Trump administration had little interest in supporting Ukraine. That has been, I think, clear from the rhetoric from President Trump even before he was reelected, and that the efforts to negotiate a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia were sort of always fanciful. It didn't really make any sense, in part because the Russians clearly don't really have an interest in negotiating with the Ukrainians, and you kind of need the two warring parties to talk.
Linda Kenyon has more.
Complete, utter disaster.
South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham on the meeting that was supposed to be about a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine.
I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelenskyy again.
President Zelenskyy posted, quote, "Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this visit." He added, "Ukraine needs just and lasting peace."
High-level administration sources tell CBS News there have been discussions about whether the U.S. will keep sending military aid to Ukraine. The White House is now uncertain if it can get the Russians and Ukrainians to stop fighting. In other news, the Pope had a severe coughing fit today, and the Vatican says he now requires assisted ventilation. He's been hospitalized with pneumonia. There is still a lot we don't know about the death of actor Gene Hackman and his wife. The Santa Fe sheriff, Adon Mendoza, had a few more details today.
Both individuals tested negative for carbon monoxide. An initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th.
Investigators are trying to determine the last time anyone saw or spoke to the couple, but he says they were very private. The latest federal job cuts in Washington could center around the Social Security Administration. It's looking to cut 7,000 jobs. Iowa's governor has signed an unprecedented bill stripping gender identity protections from the state's civil rights code. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials finished 600 points higher. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly cloudy, windy, 33 degrees at 5:03. I'm Laura Oakes.
40 years in prison for a Maplewood man who admitted to killing and dismembering 2 women in 2023. Joseph Jorgensen hid the remains of 34-year-old Monty Starin and 33-year-old Fanta Zayavong in 2 storage facilities in the Twin Cities. The victims' families telling emotional stories of their losses in court today. Second-degree murder charges are now filed in St. Paul's first homicide of the year. 33-year-old Kidu Buseri called police Tuesday afternoon to report a killing and was found by police covered in blood.
Police discovered a woman believed to be his wife suffering from a stab wound and transported her to the hospital, where she was ultimately pronounced dead. Another adult and a small child were also found inside the home but were unharmed. Buseri faces a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. Taylor Rivera, News Talk 830. WCCO.
The U.S. Justice Department announcing the University of Minnesota is on a list of 10 universities that may have violated federal law by failing to protect Jewish students and faculty members from unlawful discrimination. Many of the allegations stem from student pro-Palestinian protests during the Israel-Hamas war. DOJ officials will be visiting the schools to investigate. The Minneapolis Police Department reporting some early success in its plan to prevent homeless encampments from forming. Chief Brian O'Hara issued a special order in January directing officers to proactively intervene when they notice tents or other signs that an encampment is taking shape. Since then, officers have prevented at least 8 from forming. O'Hara says the camps pose a particularly difficult problem when they spill into the community.
When these things form, crime dramatically increases in and around the encampments, both property crime and drug uses, and unfortunately last year, just violence. And it's been terrible.
Long term, O'Hara says the biggest underlying issue is illegal drug use. He says just this week, officers found a 7-month-old infant in a stolen vehicle, unrestrained, and who had been exposed to fentanyl. The NBA suspends Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards for 1 game after his 16th technical foul in last night's game against the Lakers. It was one of 2 technical fouls he received in that game. Officials say the unsportsmanlike foul came after Edwards directed profanity towards a game official. WCCO's Henry Lake.
Anthony Edwards is just way too emotional at times, and last night was evidence of that.
Edwards will sit out tonight's game at Utah. WCCO News Time is 5:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Few problems as you make your afternoon commute. 94 westbound, a crash near 49th Avenue North and 252. Brooklyn Center, 35E southbound. You have a crash there. Maryland Avenue, 35E southbound with a crash between Maryland Avenue and 108 Pennsylvania Avenue. And on 62 eastbound, another crash between 100 and Valley View Road, Edina. I'm Jim Hughes on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I use it. It works for me, and I am thrilled to be able to share the information with you. Jordana Green here, and yes, I'm talking about CBD.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Mini Leaf, the home of Minnesota's best legal products. Find them at minileaf.com. And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Our bad hair day will be coming to an end soon as the wind drops. Unfortunately, the temperature is going to drop as well. We'll fall back to 16 overnight tonight, feeling closer to 0 early tomorrow morning with the wind. Mostly sunny for your Saturday with a high of 31. Sunday, sunshine again, even warmer, up around 43.
Mostly clear right now, still windy, 33 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
No fluff, no filter, just straight talk from local voices who get Minnesota. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRUSHA. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
You're watching the cool brainwashing 12-year-old and younger station that hides behind a slick image. We're so cool that we decide what's cool. And now, here's your host,
Jason DeRUSHA.
It is good to be with you. Happy Friday. Hope you are ready for a great weekend. It is the last day of February. How about that? March 1st tomorrow. Start a meteorological spring, right? I'm not a big meteorological spring guy. I got to be honest. I know like the weather nerds like it. It's good for record keeping. I don't know, man. Cook, you strike me as someone who likes record keeping.
I like consistency, which is what you find with the meteorological seasons, right? It's divide the year evenly into 3-month sections. It's very neat and tidy. I like that.
I don't think tomorrow is not giving me spring vibes with a high temperature here in Nisswa of 24 is the forecast. Like no. I am not looking forward to that at all.
But the days earlier this week weren't giving you winter vibes either. So
true.
It's a trade-off.
It is that time of year. I'm glad I don't have a dog anymore because this is the grossest time of year to be a dog owner, I think.
Without question.
There's a lot of poop to be picked up in the backyard. It is on a busy Friday news day. It's time to get to the DeRUSH Hour news headlines, and we start with the lead.
Now, time to get you caught up on some of the biggest stories of the day. These are the DeRUSH Hour headlines.
Good evening. Our top story.
This just in.
Our top story.
We begin tonight with.
We begin tonight.
We begin with the lead.
And we begin with the smackdown in the Oval Office. Do you love it or do you hate it? It is unprecedented. I have never seen anything like it. An American president, a vice president, really dressing down the leader of another country. I do not rejoice at this. Some people are. And it's not what you want in terms of diplomacy. What I do like is that we are getting a real glimpse as to what President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance think about the situation. We don't get the BS press release. We don't get the shined up statement, the two guys shaking hands, and then the mineral rights deal, and the whole thing fell apart. We got the real deal. We got to see it. I would be more impressed if the tough talk, the America First rhetoric applied to both parties in the war in Ukraine. Tough talk for Zelenskyy, a request for Zelenskyy to be grateful for all America has done, a comment that Zelenskyy was not, was disrespectful. There was a give and take. There was a conversation. Is that disrespectful? I don't know. I don't think so. I do think it's disrespectful to democracy to be giving more soft treatment to Vladimir Putin than it is to Ukraine. But this is a moment that I think people will study for generations. Is this the new way we'll be doing diplomacy? It is certainly a visible symbol of an alliance that used to be sort of taken for granted. Donald Trump has certainly signaled that he is uninterested in continuing to fund a war in Ukraine. He wants to get a deal done, and by get a deal done, that means he wants to be done with it. Is this the way to go about it? I don't know. I do not like that we as a country are apparently lined up anti-Canada and pro-Putin. It's a strange time. Should we continue funding a war in Ukraine? I don't know. I understand why there is a desire to be done with this. Ukraine is not, their backs are against the wall. Defeat appears to be headed their way. Europe uniformly standing up and saying they did not like what happened in the Oval Office, and they stand with Ukraine. The fallout of this, we'll see if this is just one step in a negotiation. But I would give Trump more credit if he would talk as tough to Vladimir Putin as he does to Zelenskyy. Story 2 in the lead. Anthony Edwards, you got to grow up, man. Anthony Edwards, as you heard in the news, is suspended from tonight's game against Utah. 2 technical fouls and a loss to the Lakers, his 15th and 16th of the season. This is the earliest an NBA player has had 16 technical fouls since in 15 years or so. It's been a long time. For a player to get there in February is not good, because for the rest of the season, and this is the real question, right? If you are if you're a gambling person, like, how many more techs is Anthony Edwards going to get? Every 2 techs he gets a 1-game suspension for the entire rest of the season. This is outrageous. Even the coach said Ant has to get it together. It is a difficult thing. Like, we have turned sort of the war against referees into like a way of life in this country. And it is not surprising to me that a younger player like Anthony Edwards would be, take on the whiner role that we saw Cat taking on. I don't know, man. As you get down to crunch time, no matter how mad you are at the refs, you got to suck it up a little bit. You need to grow up because the team needs you. And so Anthony Edwards, it's just been a rough go. How you get 60? He's 23 years old. He's an unbelievable player. He's averaging 27 points a game. He's a 3-point shooting machine, but the temper. You sort of earn the ability to swear at the refs, right? The older you get, the more success you have. That's how it goes. But in this case, I just think it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the Timberwolves, it's going to cost the Timberwolves, don't you think? I mean, as you look late into the season and you say, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with Anthony Edwards? I think he's going to get suspended for probably 4 or 5 more games. 16 technical fouls. He's already been fined $285,000 for 5 separate times of throwing the ball into the stand. The coach, Chris Finch, said he's got to be better. He's had too many outbursts. I think a lot of them are deserved. The refs are going to miss some calls from time to time. He's out tonight. Story 3 is a wild one. Story 3 is about a banana. It is about a banana. It is about skincare. Listen to this video that is going viral on YouTube.
You don't need Botox. You don't. It's a wrinkle reducer. The riper, the better. The inside of the banana peel contains lutein, which can brighten, hydrate, and soothe your skin. It can also help to reduce the inflammation. It's more like preventative Botox. Rub the peel on clean, dry skin for 1 to 2 minutes, focusing on wrinkles, fine lines, and hyperpigmentation. My friend Jill loves it. Do you?
Nature's Botox beauty trend is what it's being called. It sounds like a load of crap to me, so I wanted to bring in a real expert, Dr. Mohiba Tareen from Tareen Dermatology. My dermatologist. Come on, Dr. Tareen. Banana peel inside of a banana peel? What's going on here?
Hi, Jason. How are you? I'm so excited that I'm talking about banana Botox, as I'm calling it. So
I love it.
In general, as dermatologists, we really like when people are taking better care of their skin. So although this may seem wacky, it does have some benefits. It may not be true Botox, but it does have antioxidants. But there are some dangers too, as everything in life.
So what is the danger, besides the fact that you are going to smell like banana, of using a banana peel on your skin?
Right. So some people might like that banana. You're saving the environment. You know, you're using less plastic. You're just using the inside of a banana. So that's great.
Right.
But people really can get skin irritation from these natural remedies. All the time, natural is touted as better. But you know what's natural? Poison ivy is natural. And I see bad things with that all the time, Jason.
Yeah, it is interesting as you look on TikTok, this idea of like DIY Botox at home. Obviously, it's not the same as Botox, but they're trying to improve hydration. They're trying to have fewer wrinkles, right?
Right. And, you know, the basis of essentially all of our skincare products are natural ingredients, the basis of all medicine in general, right? Sure. Aspirin comes from willow bark. You know, we always talk about retinoids as dermatologists. That's just vitamin A. So there's a lot of benefits with these things. The problem with natural, as you know, is that The dose may not be right. You might be getting a high dose from one banana that might cause irritation, a lower dose from another banana. So it's just not regulated. Because it's not regulated doesn't mean it's not bad. It just means that you have to watch your skin a little bit more closely.
Does it bug you when all of these influencers use the term, natural Botox or nature's Botox or DIY Botox? Because this stuff, I don't know, it's doing things that may be beneficial, but it doesn't seem to me to be doing the same sort of thing that Botox does.
Look, you scientists, Jason, you're absolutely right. So definitely what it should be called is maybe natural moisturizer or natural cream, because Botox, as you know, is a molecule that's injected. It has to go deep to the neuromuscular junction because that's how it prevents the muscles from making those, some of those pesky lines. Nothing in nature can inhibit that. Otherwise, we'd all be dying. None of us would be able to move if we could just put a cream on and our muscles wouldn't move anymore. So it's kind of good that these creams can't mimic that.
Yeah, for sure. Dr. Mohiba Tareen is with us. What is your favorite of the natural things that you've seen on social media, people trying to use? Beef tallow? Where do you come down on the beef tallow?
People are loving the beef tallow. I love that people want to steak all the time. So I love that, especially in Minnesota right now. We're all so dry. If we all use beef tallow, maybe the scent won't bother all of us. But I am seeing a lot of acne in teenagers from beef tallow. So, for people our age, maybe beef tallow is great. For our kids, maybe they should stay away.
Yeah, makes sense. I would think, yes, if I were a teenager putting beef fat on my face, I can tell you the size of pimple that would pop up would be enormous.
Absolutely. No, but there's so many fun things out there. You can use sugarcane juice. You can use papaya. There's so many things that are out there. You just kind of have to be careful, watch your skin. And I'm really supportive of this because I think we've also talked that a lot of teenagers are spending all of their parents' money at Sephora and Ulta. Yes. And this is definitely more affordable for people out there. And as the economy softens, great, try these natural alternatives. I'm for it, but just be careful.
Cool. Great advice. Dr. Tareen, always good to visit with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's the DRUSH Hour News headlines. The lead. We are coming back with page 2 in just a minute. Skype about to be no more. The Oscars this weekend. Will any movies we know win? And you are going to love this story of the old guy snowmobilers. DriveTime coming back.
More Drive Time with DeRUSHA is on the way following these messages on News Talk 830 WCCO.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-253-6259. 800-253-6259. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-253-6259.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSHA. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
We would love if you would go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. WCCO Radio is what you search for. Click subscribe, and then you'll get notifications every time we're ready to rock and bring you Drive Time with DeRUSHA. We are live at Grandview Lodge. Dan is back at headquarters. I'm up here to host a wine weekend and just brought the show on the road to make things a little easier. So appreciate everybody helping us out here at Grandview. And if you're up here this weekend, come say hi for sure. Our top story on page 2 is Skype about to be no more. Man, I can't believe it. I don't know why I care about this, but when I saw this news, I'm like, what? The Associated Press reported that Microsoft closing down Skype. They paid $8.5 billion for it in 2011. Skype users, they're pushing everybody to Teams. All of these video call things, I don't know. So Skype added video calls in 2005. When Microsoft bought it in 2011, they paid $8.5 billion. They had 170 million users. Remember when President Trump used it in 2017 and journalists were asking questions at the briefing room? It was like, oh, they're Skyping in. And then during COVID, a lot of TV reporters were doing all their job from Skype, but Teams came in, Zoom, Google Meet, cell phones come with unlimited minutes, so making phone calls using the internet isn't that exciting anymore. The world has changed. The Academy Awards are this weekend. They're on Sunday. Will any movies any of us actually saw win?
The Pope is dead. The film
that seems inappropriate, Dan, to play. Seems a little inappropriate to play that clip. Cook, the Pope is dead. The real Pope is fighting for his life right now. What are you doing here? What are you doing? Conclave. Have you watched Conclave, Dan? It's like 3 hours, so I couldn't do it.
It's a lengthy film, but yes, I watched it.
Yeah. Is it good?
Most of it is very good.
See, this is why movies should be 2 hours. That's probably why this show should be 2 hours. If you could cut 1 hour out of this show, think of how good it would be. Just get rid of the crap hour, and then you're set. It's worth considering. Every movie should be 2 hours. That's what I think. Make it a law. I did watch Emilia Perez, which, oh boy. So I watched that movie. I thought it was very good. Very good. 13 nominations, nearly a record. But then it turned out that the star, Carla Sofia Gascon, was like a racist sort of train wreck. There's always a tweet. Everybody should delete Twitter. If I'm passing laws right now, Dan, I'm making movies 2 hours long, and all of you should get rid of all, especially if you're like 20 and like you got nothing but future ahead of you. No paper trail. You know what I mean? Aren't you glad you don't have a paper trail of the idiotic things that you said when you were 21 or 22?
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding?
Yeah, right? Like I had none of this stuff. Nope. There's no YouTube videos of the idiotic like college newscast I was anchoring or the play-by-play I was doing for the Marquette girls women's basketball team. Anyway, back to this. New York Times predicts Anora will win Best Picture. Have you seen Anora?
I have not.
I don't
no.
even. I don't even know that I've heard of Anora. So that's a thing. Amelia Perez is probably hosed because of all the controversy. Best Actor, Adrian Brody from Brutalist. Now that's another like 3-hour long deal,
Yes, it
right?
is,
The
yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Talk about Brutalist. You know what I mean? Why are these movies so long? No one wants a 3-hour movie. Maybe that's what. All right, I'm done with the Oscar story. But in our next segment, that's what we're talking about. Do you want a 3-hour movie? I believe you name. I need you to text in 651-461-9226. I've had it with these long movies where you can send me a voice message on the Odyssey app. These guys are over 60. I got a little distracted there, didn't I, Dad? Friday. Friday is a big day for Squirrel for me. Something happens, you're like, what? These guys are over 60. They're embracing winter, and they're a little bit crazy. Man, I tell you, when I am 74 years old, like Paul Dick from Grand Rapids, Minnesota, unfortunate name, but when Paul Dick, I wish I need that kind of energy. They call it Paul Dick energy. Could I say that on the radio? No? This guy's 74 years old. He is riding a snowmobiler from Minnesota to Newfoundland. Is it different when I'm in another city when I do these things, Dan? And you're like, oh no, you didn't. I feel like the beauty of Dan being in another room is that he doesn't get sort of baited into participating. He just keeps his microphone off, nods his head, covers his head. It's cowardly, really. Paul Dick. And then Rob Hallstrom from Park Rapids and Rex Hibbert, who is from Soda Springs, Idaho. So these three guys attracted worldwide attention in 2023 when they went from Grand Rapids to Alaska, a 5,000-mile trek. Wow. Now they're trying to stretch their snowmobiling cred across North America, from the previously reached Alaska to Canada's eastern seaboard. This year's ride, not nearly the stamina that's required for that 5,000-mile trek, but this is going to be 4,000 miles. Unbelievable. They're riding Arctic Cat Riot 600 Catalyst. And consider they left Grand Rapids in kind of mid-February, and there wasn't much snow. It's kind of hard to snowmobile when you don't have snow. But they loaded their sleds onto a ferry at the eastern tip of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, get to Drummond Island, Michigan, and off they go. Pretty cool. I love this, Dan. They said, when they're in Ontario and they're talking to other snowmobilers, when you're in Canada right now and you're American, people are asking about the 51st state bit. They're asking about tariffs. Normal, right? You'd expect Canadians
Are they just
to
booing
ask.
you and just...
Well, right, just like the anthem. And Hallstrom said, whenever we were asked about President Trump, we'd just say, we like to snowmobile.
Smart. Very smart.
Now, it's a one-way trip, so they drop their sleds at an Arctic Cat dealer in Newfoundland, and then they'll be shipped back, they'll fly home, and then plan another trip. Pretty awesome. I don't know. I just thought that was an inspiring story. Great job by Dennis Anderson and the Minnesota Star Tribune telling the story of those three old guys. And how would you describe their energy again, Dan?
I wouldn't. If you want to drive that train off the tracks, my man, I'm not obligated to get on board. Have at it.
I feel like I've said enough.
That's the
DeRush. Yeah, I enjoyed it though. That's the DeRush Hour News headlines here on CCO. When we come back, I feel like, have we said enough about the Oval Office? I don't know. Should we do a listener roulette? You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I want to talk about movies are too damn long. 3-hour movies, dead to me. 651-461-9226. Drive Time. Coming back in a minute.
Jason DeRUSHA and Drive Time needs to make a brief pit stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Put those arms out wide. It's Jason here from my friend Chris Lindahl and Chris Lindahl Real Estate. I love Chris. He is a great guy. He really is. He's incredibly generous. He has donated so many times to help us out with charity auctions, with efforts we've done here at CCO Radio, and he does it all the time, doesn't make a big deal about it, just makes it happen. You should read his life story. If you go to chrislindahl.com, there's a link to his book. He just published a book called Arms Out. It will blow your mind. A lot of the stuff you thought you knew about Chris Lindahl is not true. His life story is one of perseverance, of surviving through difficult circumstances here in Minnesota, and then building this business all on his own. What does it mean for you? If you need to sell your home quickly, the guaranteed cash offer is how you do it. Go to chrislindahl.com. Maybe you have a death in a family. Maybe you have a parent who needs to go into senior living, or a divorce, or your family's getting bigger and you just can't stay in your house anymore. Get to chrislindahl.com. When you need to sell your home right now, the guaranteed cash offer, that's how. Go to chrislindahl.com today.
Now that our phones save them for us, we just don't remember numbers anymore. Excuse me, sir. What's your wife's number?
It's in my favorites.
Well, how about your mom's number?
Oh, I just tell Alexa to call her.
Your best friend?
612. No clue.
Okay, so what's the CCO talk and text line?
Easy. 651-461-9226.
Amazing.
I use this number more.
Memorize our number, save the rest. The CCO talk and text line. 651-461-9... crap. Hey, Twins fans, it's time for spring training in Fort Myers. Cheer on your favorite team at Hammond Stadium within the Lee Health Sports Complex. Then explore the islands, beaches, and neighborhoods of Fort Myers between games. Sink your toes into white sand, discover lush nature preserves filled with wildlife, and dine on fresh Gulf seafood. Turning your love of baseball into a relaxing vacation just feels right. Start planning at visitfortmyers.com.
I'm John Taft, Vice Chairman of Baird. For over 100 years, Baird's people and expertise have made a difference in the financial advice and services we provide. Our experts on 3 continents combine diverse backgrounds and perspectives to meet your needs. Being nationally recognized as a great place to work helps Baird attract the best people in our industry to advise you. Experience a different kind of financial partnership. Discover the Baird difference. Visit BairdTwinCities.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
494 eastbound, you have a crash as you make your drive this afternoon. You're seeing delays on both sides of the roadway. 7-minute delay on that eastbound side, 8-minute delay on the westbound side. Some Gawker delay there between Nicollet Avenue and Portland Avenue. 35W southbound side between Stinson Boulevard and East Hennepin. You have another crash in front of you there. I'm Jim Hughes on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Looking for senior living options? Jordana here. I invite you to check out award-winning New Perspective Senior Living with 10 communities in the Twin Cities Metro. They offer you a friendlier approach to senior living. Call 888-229-2298. 888-229-2298.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
All right, our weather is brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
It stays windy into the night tonight, and our temperatures are going to tumble behind the cold front. 16 the overnight low, still wind coming 10 to 15 miles per hour, making it feel closer to 0 early tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny with a high of 31. That'll be nice. Even warmer on Sunday, around 43. Another shot at 50 come Monday.
Right now in the Brainerd Lakes area, where I happen to be right now, it is 25 degrees. Back in the Twin Cities, it's 30 here on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
You look like maybe you're about to recite some poetry or sit in a corner with a little glass of wine and pontificate about something.
Yeah.
Yes, very debonair.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
I was over at the Minneapolis Club the other day, which is right up the street from CCO. Kind of fun, like to have this club right downtown where I can pop in. They've got a great gym in there. And you know what I did for the first time? I played squash. Squash. It's sort of like I don't know. I was terrible. They put me in there with this guy who's like the club champion. I don't know. Is squash like is it the most pretentious sport? I don't know. Maybe it's lacrosse. Like lacrosse. I don't know. What do you think is the most? You can weigh in on that. 651-461-9226. Most pretentious sport, and movies are too damn long. Those are our topics because it's Friday. Like we've talked about the Oval Office enough. And if you've missed it, you can watch us talk about it. You go to YouTube and the WCCO radio channel, click subscribe, and you can go back and visit that part of the show. Or you can always subscribe to our podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Odyssey app. We're on Spotify, all the things. Just search Drive Time with DeRUSHA. So I asked Elon Musk's Grok, sort of the AI, because I tried Chat GPT and it didn't know. This is what's happened to me. This is how I'm doing research now. So I go to Grok and I say, give me the runtime for the 2025 Oscar nominees for Best Picture. The Brutalist is 215 minutes, 3 hours and 35 minutes. No, it's too long. 3 hours and 35 minutes. Have you heard of an editor? You could probably get 45 minutes out of that bad boy. Come on. Dune Part 2. Our friend Charlie Oakes, that is his favorite movie. Dune Part 2 is 2 hours and 46 minutes. Too long. 2 hours should be the max. Wicked. Now, I liked Wicked. Wicked was wicked long. 2 hours and 40 minutes. A Complete Unknown and Nickel Boys and The Substance and Honora and I'm Still Here. We're all around 2:20. Emilia Perez was 2 hours and 10 minutes. And Conclave is 2 hours. None of the nominees is shorter than 2 hours. Longer is not always better, right? Like, does it make you feel like you're smarter because you can sit through a long movie? I don't know. Texters are saying, I have no inherent problem with 3-hour movies. My 4 favorites are all 3 hours, but they're experiences, not drags. Sometimes they're longer than they need to be. But there are also some movies I see and I'm thinking this should be a 3-hour movie. It was too short. Another texter says 3-hour movies that hold my attention. Schindler's List, The Wolf of Wall Street, Titanic, Ben-Hur, Godfather 1 and 2. All right. I'll allow those. Another texter says, I like movies that are around 90 minutes. Anything more than 2 hours needs an intermission at the theater. All right. I mentioned that I played squash. Is that the most pretentious sport? Neil is on the CCO Talk and Text line. Neil, you have a contender for a sport that is more pretentious than squash.
I've never played squash, but I've played every racket sport. I played ping pong, racquetball, and I played pickleball. Played a lot of all of them, but no, squash I've never played. I think the most pretentious sport has to be polo.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
I mean,
yes.
is it all millionaires? And I mean, actually, they kind of cruise around, and it looks yes. really skilled. But I mean, do you have any more rich people anywhere but on polo grounds?
So there's this big fundraiser every year at the Polo Grounds, and I've been invited many times, and I just can't do it, Neil. I just can't do it. I'm like, I am not ready to be a part of like this particular crowd. It's like too much for me.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't even know what to wear. I mean, what would you?
Well, I think
You know,
Ralph
If you
Lauren.
don't drive up, if you don't drive up in a Lexus, you're going to be out of place. You know.
Neil,
Hey,
thank you.
hey, one movie.
Go ahead.
One movie that was too long was The Deer Hunter.
Oh, Deer Hunter. Yeah.
Thanks,
long.
Neil. Oh my God,
Too long. Too long. I think you have options if you're going to go to a polo match of what you're going to wear. You could wear Ralph Lauren, obviously. You could go literal on the bit, Dan.
I could see you in the top hat and monocle, coat and tails. You know, they'll go that bit on it. Go like full royal ascot kind of thing.
Right. I've never done the ascot bit. I'm sort of intrigued. I got a friend, Pete Campbell, who owns Red Wagon Pizza, who does the ascot, and he looks so cool. But I think, like, I'm not.
No, you could do it. You could do it.
Your other option for polo is wearing a polo shirt, right? Like, if you just want to go straight
too obvious, isn't it?
Probably. It's for sure like it's a bit, right? If you wear a polo shirt. Fox hunting is very pretentious. How do you say this? Jai alai? Jai alai?
Isn't it highlight?
Well, I don't know. That's why I asked how to say it. Is that how it's pronounced? Highlight?
Let's go with it. I have no idea.
You're probably. I think you are correct. It's a Basque sport involving bouncing a ball off a walled-in space with a wicker, commonly referred to as a cesta. It is giving me squash vibes, except you have like this thing that looks like
the big scoop
snap, like a giant scoop.
Yeah.
Texters are mad at texters like long movies. Apparently,
the only context I have for highlight that's like Miami Vice opening. Remember, then they always have that as part of the.
Oh, it is like a Basque Spanish thing. So maybe, maybe. Texters, a lot of texters like the long movies. I do think long movies are perfect for people who don't have a life.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
You got nothing else going.
Do we need to go back to the intermission? Remember the old classics that were like 3.5, 4 hours long, but they had an intermission.
The organist
go to the
was
bathroom, get some food. Do we got to go back to that maybe?
I made it through Wicked and didn't have to use the bathroom at all. That was
I didn't either, but that's because I didn't go see it.
Charlie Oakes was next to me. He's a youngster. He should have the bladder of a Gen Zer, and he got up in the middle and went to the bathroom.
Well, I mean, that tells you something.
Now, there was a movie I saw this year, and I'm sort of an idiot when it comes to movies because I can't think of the names of them, and I can't think of movie quotes. So, like, when I was in high school, all my guy friends have an unbelievable ability to, like, know specific movie code. And I could never play the game. Like, I don't remember movie quotes. I just don't. So, do you remember, Dan Cook, the movie that I talked about on this show with Laura? That was like a 90-minute movie with a guy in it who was in the Facebook movie.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Jesse Eisenberg. These are some good clues for one of our textures to say, oh, I know what that movie is. A Real Pain. It's called A Real Pain. And that movie, I loved it. And I think it was like, I don't know, 80 minutes. Brilliant.
Lindsey Brown is in to produce for Henry coming up here at the top of the hour. And I think she went about 3 feet in the air, leaping up and declaring that a great movie. So you're on to something.
Yeah. How does Lindsay feel about long movies? Because I just think, like, once you're at 240, like, come on, just make some cuts. Like, there's always one scene that drags, one random sex scene that's in there just, like, you know, for the pervs in the crowd.
Too much skin for you, Jason, huh? That's where you draw the line. There's just
I like to keep it demure. I
Fair
like
enough.
to keep it.
I
don't
mean,
know
can we
how
go back
long.
to the last segment, honestly.
The big energy.
Yeah. Or how about the last segment yesterday? You want to roll demure out there again?
I did get a text last night. from someone who enjoyed that tremendously. I will just say he's a prominent person in town who enjoyed that reference. What do you think, Lindsay? How long is the right length for a movie?
I guess I don't measure it in time spent unless I'm really not enjoying the film, but I like films that kind of make you feel like you're watching two in one. And so I know a lot of people will roast me for this take, but I'm a huge fan of the film Pearl Harbor for that particular reason, because it feels like you're watching like 3 different movies. Is it all necessary information? Probably not, but I'm caught up in the story, and I got to see how everything wraps up.
Like I did Oppenheimer, and that was long.
That's a long one.
That was a long one. I mean, Oppenheimer is one of those movies, though, you see it once. This is the thing with long movies. You see it once, you don't need to see it again. You're like, I'm good. Oppenheimer, I love the movie. Not an enjoyable experience, really, you know?
It's
you don't leave there feeling like,
well, it's not supposed to be an uplifting film, you know.
Like, how long
Well, I
was
understand.
Lincoln? Lincoln is a lot
Lincoln
of
was
movies.
long
Lincoln
too,
is a great movie, but it's just all dialogue. But as long as you have James Spader in there, it's just like there's a little livening under the boots. You gotta have good actors in it.
Forrest Gump was 2 hours and 22 minutes. That's pretty good. Like, I'm down with, I mean, I do think my preference would be 2 hours. That's enough. 2 hours, you should start, like, if you're at 3, it's time to start making cuts. If you're at 2:10 and you like it, I'm fine with that. It's sort of like the 60-minute ads that I do on this radio, or 60-second ads that I do.
They feel
on
like
this
60
show.
minutes sometimes.
Wow. Wow. How about that? You know, those ads pay your salary, Dan Cook.
No, they pay your salary.
Well, you know how much I get out of those.
Yeah, and I know how much I get out of those too. So.
Well, that is fair. Now that they're charging $15 for a movie ticket, they need to be longer, says a texter. Best long movie is Gone with the Wind. Another texter, probably in my age range, long movies, give me Depends. Yeah. I'm sort of surprised they don't sell. Like, if you're going to go watch Brutalist, do you think if you're making a movie like Brutalist, is it just determined it's going to be so long? You're like, well, people sort of know what they're getting.
I mean, the title alone just sort of
you buy
a
a
little
ticket.
something, you know?
I understand it's about architecture or an architect, right?
I mean,
still.
well, yeah, but it's not. Yeah, is that really what it's about, or is that just a contextual bit?
How should I know? I'm never going to watch it. 3 hours?
Point.
Come on.
Precisely my point.
Everything is too long, though. Like these Netflix series, you're like, here's a 10-episode series that should really be 2.
Yes.
Like, oh, you love a 10-episode series?
No, I'm there with that take, because I think that every streaming service kind of has their package, and Netflix always does the 10 episodes. And so sometimes you're like, this could have been 4, and it's 10, and it's brutal.
The documentaries are the worst. You're like, oh my gosh, we get it. 5:51, 3-hour movie, 3 hours of Jason. They're both painful. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRUSHA coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
If you think 3 hours of Jason on the radio is long, imagine a 12-day vacation to Greece. Come on. Are you absolutely into torturing yourself? Imagine a trip to Greece with me. It's Jason. I promise in real life, I'm much more delightful. Come with me to Greece. Alyssa and I cannot wait to welcome you on this amazing Colette trip to Athens, to Mykonos, and Santorini. This trip is going to be a trip of a lifetime. And the time to make the choice is now, because we have a limited number of seats on this trip. And when they're gone, they're gone. Go to WCCOradio.com/Greece for all the information. But Colette is going to take care of everything: the flights, the meals, the hotels, local experiences. Athens is one of the world's most premier cities. It's unbelievable. The history. You got, oh my gosh, the history. And then the present, right? You've got a modern metropolitan city surrounded by like these unbelievable archaeological ruins. And then we're just going to go to the beach and have a party. It's going to be amazing. Mykonos, Santorini. Let's go. WCCOradio.com/Greece. Make it today. Get to the website. Let's go to Greece together.
Attention small business owners needing financing. Swish Funding is providing funds for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, even slow cash flow to small businesses all over America with affordable funding as soon as one business day. And we're ready to help with funding from $10,000 to $2 million. If you've been in business for 1 year or more with a monthly income of at least $25,000, you can get the affordable funding you need with no collateral. Go to swishfunding.com today. That's swishfunding.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textline.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelenskyy. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelenskyy can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelenskyy?
Just send them a text.
Text LINE to 200-300 to get started today with Zelenskyy. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text LINE to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text LINE to 200-300. That's LINE to 200-300. LINE to 200-300.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
494 on that eastbound side, still causing a big problem on actually both sides of the roadway. You're solid 3 lanes each. 7-minute delay on that eastbound commute. 9-minute delay on the westbound commute. Again, 494 eastbound between Nicollet Avenue and Portland Avenue. 35W southbound, a crash just between Stinson Boulevard and East Hennepin Avenue. I'm Jim Hughes on News Talk 830 WCCO.
For a spring training getaway that's truly major league, stay at Luminary Hotel and Company in downtown Fort Myers, Florida. It's just a short drive from the ballparks and the perfect home base for baseball fans. Plan your getaway now at luminaryhotel.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Loved our stay at the Luminary Hotel in Fort Myers. Tonight, here in the Twin Cities, it's going to be partly cloudy. The wind will calm. Low is 16. Tomorrow, mostly sunny. Only 31 for the high. It'll probably feel better than this windy day today. Sunday looks decent. Mostly sunny. High of 43, maybe 50 on Monday. Right now, it is 26 degrees on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
This is not bold. It's stupid, buffoonish, childish. This is just amateur hour.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Dan, this weekend, if people are looking for my version of long form, I got about a 45-minute podcast with the Food Dolls.
Yes.
2 sisters from, well, they grew up in Eden Prairie. They're first generation from Egyptian immigrants. And they started posting on Facebook in 2015. Today they have, I think, 5.5 million Facebook followers. All social media, when you add Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, they have 9 million followers.
I mean, that's almost at your level.
Oh my gosh, their success has been so fun. They're so nice. So search DeRUSHA Eats wherever you get podcasts. You'll see that podcast and you can download that episode. I got a bunch of interesting chefs and business owners with little longer, deeper conversations than we can have on the radio. Textures, other than Ishtar, have you ever stood up and walked out of a movie 20 minutes in? Have you ever walked out of a movie? I did. I bailed on Showgirls. Showgirls, I didn't finish. I was like, this is terrible.
I didn't see Showgirls in the theater. I don't remember. No, I don't think I've ever actually gotten up and walked out.
Yeah, once you pay for it. Things you shouldn't be a part of because they can be longer than 2 hours. A rock concert, a Guthrie play, fine dining, football. Henry coming up.
Imagine placing an investment or trade without fear. Knowing that big institutions have taken the same trade as you, pushing the price